Contract negotiations between Fresno Unified and the FTA really in a standoff now. Will a deal be in place before the school year is out? Superintendent Nelson and the FTA president Bonilla very far apart when it even comes to how the contract is being negotiated. So is that teacher strike looming for the third largest school district in the state? We want to bring in our panel this week. We have current board member for the California High-Speed Rail Authority appointed by the governor, former Fresno County supervisor and former contract negotiator for the Fresno County. Henry Perea is here, and former Fresno Unified trustee for the Bullard area, Terry Sladek. Gentlemen, thanks for both being here. So, Terry, I'll start with you. You've done one of these. You've been through a teacher
2019 cycle.
That's right. So you've been through a teacher contract. You're looking at this now, and you just saw what played out. They don't have the rules of engagement really in place just yet. So what do you make of what we just saw?
Well, last fall, Alexander, when they began this process, they spent 6 weeks literally doing how tall are the tables going to be in the negotiating room, how many seats are there going to be. Teachers Association kept pushing for, I'm not making this up, 200 negotiators on their side. And I remember commenting, I guess we're going to need Save Mart Center to have these things because you have to have a like number on each side. So it was preposterous in terms of the lack of being serious.
And Henry, you've been in the negotiating room before on other events, not necessarily with a school district here, especially the size of Fresno Unified. But when you hear how the rules of engagement maybe aren't exactly to the liking of Fresno Unified, but the Fresno Teachers Association says, you know what, we want transparency. We want the public to know, the parents to know, the kids to know, this is what's happening, the teachers to know.
Yeah, well, knowing that they've been at the table, or at least trying to talk for a year, and to hear this 9-minute clip, it's kind of disheartening to have a couple of, I think, very well-intended, very well-educated folks saying, we don't even know what the rules of engagement are yet. Okay, what that tells me, having come from a negotiating background, is you have two major issues. One is they're not communicating. And two, which I think overrides that, the first one is there's no trust. Whereas when there's no trust, this is what you get. So you know, I think what they need to do is find one person from each side who has the authority to cut a deal, put them both in a room and have them cut a deal. Because I think everybody who's in this profession knows when you go to a bargaining table, that's mainly theater. You know, if you have trust and people really open up their books to each other and talk about what they really want, it doesn't take long to reach an agreement.
So should it be, and I'll ask you both this, should it be negotiated, you know, some meetings are live streamed, not all of them, but some of them are. Should it be done that way?
No, absolutely not.
Yes, it should. Transparency, both of those gentlemen, Bonilla and Nelson, have said countless times on record, I want full transparency. Why is this any different?
You know, teachers have voiced concerns for safety on campus. We've heard that a lot, and speaking out against the district. Could the union be playing an extreme hardball because of those concerns?
Well, I mean, when I go back to trust, when there's no trust, that's when you get issues that, I mean, they could be real issues, but they may not be the issues that really are going to bring a deal to the table. So, you know, whenever I see somebody start off a negotiating point saying, we need a 40% raise, and then the other side says, no, you're going to get zero. That's the first clue. There's no communication, no trust between the parties. So I think that's why, at least my experience is when you get negotiators who have the trust of their principals, and they go to the table and start talking about what's really important to them, the deal just comes real quickly. You know, and I agree with Terry about transparency, but it's how you get there. I think one thing you find in that kind of a setting where you're live streaming, it's a show. So everybody wants to make a speech. You know, everybody wants to, you know, give their little cut, or, you know, that's all, again, theater. I think that you need to get people in there who have the authority to cut a deal and cut it.
In the 2019 bargaining cycle, Teachers Association led by Mr. Bonilla, they led that time also with safety. They led with it because safety is a disaster on our campuses, in our classrooms, for the teachers, for the students. More guns, more drugs, more knives, more fights. And I engage with them highly because I can, an elected guy can. And I personally wrote and researched how to make teachers safe in their classroom. I gave it to Manuel. And in the first 5 minutes of the first legitimate sit down. It was crumpled up and tossed in the can. And he forever has, to me, given away his right to sit there and say safety is important, because after that bargain was signed in 2019 and they got their extra 7% this year, 8% that year, he hasn't said safety. He hasn't said safety for the next 3 years.
Let me ask you guys this. Okay, so to me, while I like to think that we actually got somewhere in that interview with both of them sitting down, I don't know. I'm sure the viewers at home was like, well, we really didn't get anywhere with that, right? Because I felt like we really didn't get anywhere with that. And I'm wondering, but did we get to the point where we actually thought they're so far apart that the third largest school district in the state will strike?
Yeah, I don't think so. But I will say this, summer's coming. So there obviously will be no strike before the end of the school year.
Yeah.
But I think if they're going to continue with lack of communication, little trust, I think that's a bargaining chip for the FTA. I think before the school year starts, they're probably going to press the district to come to the deal, whatever that deal might
And
be.
they'll have that
or
strike authorization.
Yeah, then they'll have a strike.
In 2023, after COVID and the advent and the perfection to some extent of distance learning, a strike is not what it was 10 years ago. So the pieces are being put in place, whether anyone's talking about this or not, but I don't work there anymore, if they go on strike in the fall, the kids aren't going to be staying home. They're going to go to some other platform in distance learning 2.0, if you will. So don't look at it that way. The other thing about these strikes, they're mostly theater when it comes to teachers. They will go on strike. It'll be 3 weeks, and part of the agreement that they ultimately sign is we get paid retroactively for being on strike. So these long-term strikes, that's not going to happen. It'd be a few-week strike, and the distance learning platform is still there.
But the Los Angeles County District, those teachers got what they wanted.
Yeah.
Strikes scare the heck out of the school boards.
Yeah, all right.
See, in my mind, those are the worst contracts to negotiate, because when that's all said and done, everybody's nose is bloodied, and there's no good faith. There's no good that comes out of it.
You guys agree on that part?
Absolutely. I think
All right.
people need to just come together, cut the deal.
All right, and we got to cut it there.